Marketing campaigns. Talking in Bob's language. Bob wants you to talk to Bob in language Bob can understand. A lot of marketing is Chinese to Bob, and if Bob cannot understand what you're saying, Bob will reject your marketing. So marketing is often about translating Chinese into English. What do we mean by that? Every area of expertise in the world develops its own language, its own terminology. And when someone is new to that, they don't understand that terminology. They don't understand that language. So what we have to do is we have to take our expertise and explain it in a way in a language that Bob can understand. If Bob is confronted with marketing that he cannot understand, Bob will reject that marketing. So here's an example of talking in Bob's language. Bob wants to buy a new computer for Bob's family to use and also to play some games on. But Bob is not a PC enthusiast. So Bob doesn't know that much about computers. He knows he needs one, but he doesn't know all the terminology. So then he goes on a site and he sees this pitch. You can buy this PC with an i9 processor, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and an SSD drive for just $999. But that doesn't mean anything to Bob. Bob doesn't know what an i9 processor is. Bob doesn't know what 32 gigabytes of RAM is. He doesn't know what an SSD drive is. So you're selling him things that he doesn't understand, so he won't buy. Let's look at a good pitch. Run all the educational software your children need and also play all the latest games with this completely up-to-date computer that will last you for years to come. So what we've done with this pitch is we know that Bob wants to buy a new computer. It's for the family. He wants to play some games on it. We might have gathered that from online reviews. It might be customer feedback, but we know what Bob is trying to buy. And then what we do is we make sure we communicate that back to Bob in language he can understand. We haven't mentioned the processor. We haven't mentioned the RAM. We haven't mentioned the drive because that is Chinese to Bob. He doesn't understand what that is. Now, what we could do with the good pitch now is we can do all that, and then underneath we can put what this computer has, and then Bob can ask questions about those elements and what does this mean, what does that mean, and what does this mean. But the core fundamental problem that Bob is trying to solve, he's got children at school, they need to do their homework, they don't have a computer that's suitable. That problem is there expressed in the pitch, in the copy. So we must always just take a step back when we're in an industry where there's language that the average person isn't familiar with and make sure we translate it into ideas and language and values that they can relate to.